Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and before I get started on today's video, I just have to acknowledge the growth that we've seen in this little community after I posted my very interesting interview with Potential History, or Johnny from Potential History. It was a great experience. Doing interviews on the channel has been one of the most enjoyable things that I've produced, and I definitely want to make more of those. But for now, let's sit back and enjoy some more War Thunder content. And yes, this is War Thunder content. But I'm about to compare War Thunder to another game that I've spent many hours in, and that is Warframe. Why? Well, for those of you that are not familiar with Warframe, it's one of the most user-friendly PvE-based multiplayer games out there. Being a free-to-play game that has a healthy economy and a very involved player base that actually gets along fairly well with the game creators really makes Warframe stand out. So, the main focus of today's video will be if War Thunder can have a PvE game mode, and that's player versus environment, where instead of competing against other human beings, you are teaming up with other humans, or playing by yourself, if you enjoy failure, to try and overcome what the game developers set in front of you. And Gaijin has tried that a bit with War Thunder, but it's been overwhelmingly unsuccessful, I believe for several very simple reasons, and we'll get right into it. So, first off, what is Warframe PvE like? In terms of balance, you have up to a team of 4, but it's balanced for 1. And that's actually a large difference from what we see in War Thunder, because the Assault game mode, which is the only real PvE in War Thunder, is really set up to have around 15 to 20 people, or upwards of 10 in a match. It's not balanced for 1, it's not set up for 4. And I think setting up matches for small groups would really help with balancing War Thunder's Assault game mode and any other PvE game mode that they set up in the future. Large groups cannot coordinate strategy well. Once you get past 4 to 6 people, which is the tried and true number when it comes to RPGs, I don't feel it would be much different for War Thunder. So, that could be a change that would help out with War Thunder PvE right away. What's next? What else is going on in Warframe's PvE? Well, you pick the map from an overall view of maps. So you have this overall selection, and you decide which battle you're going to get into. So you initiate it. It's not random. It's not always the same map. It's taken from any number of scenarios and maps that are available in the game, and you pick the one you want to go into, and you jump into it for there. Also, Warframe's PvE game mode is good for grinding. In fact, it's the focus of progression in Warframe. Could this become a thing in War Thunder? I believe it's possible. Although War Thunder has, from the start, been a PvP game, player versus player, I think it very much is possible to build a community of PvE players that only play in PvE and are not interested in PvP, much like you see in Armored Warfare, which is still going even after, well, some difficulty with its publishers. It doesn't really have to do with the quality of the game itself. What else? In Warframe, death is not really likely. You generally have an advantage over the AI, which grows to a massive advantage as you progress in experience and equipment. And that goes contrary to what you see in War Thunder, where in the PvE game modes that they have, the player does not have a serious advantage over the AI, and that's one of the most frustrating aspects of playing War Thunder's PvE, is that enemies, the AI enemies, have a strange damage model. They're difficult to eliminate with one shot, they outnumber you, their weapons are equivalent and their armor equivalent to your own, and they can hit you while on the move with no issues. So they have a serious advantage over players, and that, I would say, is the main reason that War Thunder PvE, in the form of the Assault game modes, has not really taken off. Players want to wipe the floor with AI in PvE. They want to win, and it's okay to build a scenario where you generally expect to win. What else? Lots of weak enemies, a few challenging ones. That's the way it is in Warframe, and I feel that could be very useful in War Thunder. What if you face a lot of scout tanks or lower rank vehicles, things that are easy to chew through, and then there's just a few much more challenging enemies like Tiger 2s or the mouse tank that's a lot more entertaining and fun to bring down. A boss, if you will. Very possible in ground forces, also possible in the air. You could have those huge bombers or waves of rather simple opposition, and then a few spikes in difficulty just to mix things up and make things fun and engaging and give you a reason to hold on to some of your resources or position yourselves at just the right time, not just to send wave after wave of the same kinds of enemies at the player. That could be a big help, again, for War Thunder's PvE. And as for Warframe's PvE, they have a wide range of missions. You have stealth, elimination, domination, destruction, and story missions. Not to get into the terms that Warframe uses itself, but those are fairly self-explanatory. There's a range of things you can do. It's not just about holding a point. It's not just about eliminating all of the enemies every time. And there's enough variety there that people can play PvE all day long. Now, this is obviously something that took a long time to develop. Back in the day, Warframe had one map and one game mode, and it took them years to develop that. But what they have is one of the most stable and an easily profitable platform to work from which they continue to innovate, and I feel that War Thunder could definitely draw inspiration from that and learn from the lessons, especially, that the Warframe development team has learned over the course of building the game and building the community. And one of the things that makes that very accessible is that Warframe regularly opens up to the community and tells them how progress has come on certain things, what they're planning, what worked, what didn't, and why, and they ask questions of their community. War Thunder has also done a great job over the past couple of years of opening up, and it would only help for us as community members to appreciate that and also to encourage that by giving positive feedback and constructive criticism in a respectful way, and working together to not try and exploit any developments in the game, but to build a game environment that's good for both the players and the developers. For the developers in a profitable monetary sense, and for the players in creating a nice balanced game. And again, I feel that's something you see with Warframe. So, when it comes to balancing a game, you have to think about the rewards. In terms of Warframe, again, because this is a comparison, you get small rewards within each match, and then a random greater reward for completion of a scenario. You get parts that are used in recipes, you get blueprints, individual parts, and then there's assembly time, and that's an interesting and important factor. It doesn't take just a few minutes to build something even if you have the parts. It could take a day or 2, even around 3 days for something significant. And when it comes to War Thunder, that could be a premium vehicle or an event vehicle that you can construct. How cool would it be to have a PvE mode in War Thunder where every week there would be new special parts available, and you build those parts into vehicles that are no longer available on the market. And then once you assemble that vehicle, you could even have the option, if Gaijin wants to do it this way, of selling that coupon on the market, and thus encourage transactions in the Gaijin marketplace, which is a very consistently profitable thing for Gaijin to have. The more people are trading, the more Gaijin can get their 20% on those trades and make consistent money, even if people are getting things for free. The more times something trades hands, the more Gaijin stands to make off of the process. And that brings up monetization for free rewards. In Warframe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the way it is. It's been a while since I played, but they've always been committed to the idea, or for a long time, of having everything you can acquire in the game. You are able to acquire that for free by grinding, by doing events, and sometimes those events will be unavailable for months, weeks, days, hours, years, and the options then available for you for most of those things to trade back and forth on their market, where again the developers of Warframe gain a profit from that market being active because they get a cut out of every trade. And also, players can have access to things that aren't normally available by trading amongst the community. And you get that great aspect of community set prices and people interacting as a community, which helps to build a community, and nobody can complain about the prices. At least they don't have a reason to. And then you'll always have access to something that would normally not be available. And this is a big issue with War Thunder because there are so many event vehicles in the game now that are available to some people but not available to a majority of players just because they weren't around or they didn't have the time or the money to participate in a certain event. So what does this have to do with a PvE game mode in War Thunder? Again, if they want to copy the setup in Warframe, I think that's actually a very open door for them. Imagine, daily you can play in a variety of PvE missions that are regular maps that you would normally play against human players, but instead you face off against AI and you have certain mission objectives. Dying's not a big deal. You plow through the mission, you get your rewards, and you have a few little pieces of scrap metal. You have some rare parts that you can occasionally get randomly, and if there's a rare part that you can't use, you can trade that in the marketplace. Eventually you assemble all your rare parts and you get a coupon for an event vehicle. This is something that you could work a few weeks for, up to a month for, but piece by piece you're making progress, and anything that's redundant you can sell. And eventually you get this coupon and you decide, do I use it and add this vehicle to my hangar, or do I hold on to it for 2 months and wait for this event to be over, and now this coupon is no longer available and the value on the market goes up. You get people playing the market, you get people engaged in the events, and it's not just something that you have this brief window on, as we have with events right now, where it's just a week, a couple of weeks, even 2 or 3 weeks, and you have to grind like crazy. This could be something that people do casually. This could be something where you play a few matches a day, you trade around, and within a month or two, you have a rare vehicle, and you can trade that for something else that you want. I feel that that's a great way to incentivize a PvE game mode. If they set the grind rate to something reasonable, people can jump on, casually play, and know that they're getting a reward that has real value for the play, not just RP and Silver Lions. I feel like it's a great opportunity for Gaijin to move beyond the current grind meta of RP, Silver Lions, and Golden Eagles, and it's a great chance to broaden out the gameplay of the game. There's definitely some other comparisons to Warframe that War Thunder could benefit from, and to be fair, the community of Warframe is not exactly the same as the community of War Thunder. The game is not the same game, so the things that worked for Warframe are not necessarily the things that'll work for War Thunder, but these are just some comparisons, some food for thought, and some fuel for discussion amongst the community. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wonder if you guys are looking forward to a PvE game mode in War Thunder that actually works. I personally would love to see such a thing happen. Anyway guys, catch you in the next video. Bye bye.